1.
So, greetings, Wake Forest Baptist family. Always good to be with you. Last week I mentioned my top 10 books, and I started off last week with the top 5. And now I want to share the next 5. None of them in any particular order of importance, except for the very last one. And I always remember to say, no person is without friends who's in the company of good books. And so I encourage you to read what a gift God has given us in some of the books, especially the Bible. But going with the next 5, so number 6, Running on Empty by Phil Anderson. Phil is spelled F-I-L. Phil, it was my spiritual director. In many ways, I'm still in ministry because of him. And he wrote this book, Running on Empty, which talked about learning to live with God instead of just for God. When I read it, I felt like, oh my gosh, this is my story. And maybe it's for some of you as well. So I highly recommend Running on Empty, learning about living with God instead of just for God. Then the next 2 books are by the same author, one of my favorite authors, John Ortberg. A couple weeks ago, I preached a sermon that came out of this book. If you want to walk on water, you got to get out of the boat. And that continues to speak to me. It's a challenging book. It's a reminder that life is not just meant to be lived comfortably and safely, but to get out of the boat. And that's the only way you're ever going to know a walk on water experience. So John Ortberg. Another book among my top 10 by the same author, The Life You've Always Wanted. Some people come to me and they want something to kind of give some guidance for their Christian walk. This is a book that I often recommend. It has a lot of chapters about Christian disciplines, many wonderful illustrations. You can never go wrong with John Ortberg. He's easy to read and always speaks to something important. Philip Yancey, another writer that you can never go wrong with, but this particular book among his many books that are all wonderful. What's so amazing about grace? Grace is a story that I live by. It's a story that I want to communicate to people probably as much as anything, that we don't have to be anything except who we are to be loved by God. And this story reminds us in this book why grace really is so incredible and why it's so hard to trust, because if it's not amazing, it's not grace. But then I can't do a top 10 without, of course, you would expect me to say the Bible. This is the book I read and reread and reread. And this book right here, this particular one, is what I call my real Bible. I got this when I was a freshman in college, so it means it's almost an ancient manuscript. And so this has been rebound 2 different times. I've used it so much. But you open it up, in every page almost, there are words that are underlined. There are notes, things that speak to me and continue to speak to me. You can never read the Bible too much. It is the eternal word. It's God's word to us. It's God's gift to us. It's the way we know about Jesus Christ. And so I go into homes all the time. Sometimes I see these beautiful Bibles that have been put out on the coffee table right in front of me, so I'll be sure to know that you actually have one. And I wonder how often you've read it. Then I go into others, I see others that are just beaten up. That's the favorite look of a Bible that I always like to see. So read. You can do it on your phones now. You can do it in so many different ways. You can listen to it while you're driving down the road. But God's word is eternal. God's word is ultimately revealed in Jesus Christ. But I hope maybe you look at some of these books. We'll put the top 10 list again on the wall today. And just see if maybe one of those books might pull out and be a gift to you, as it's been a gift to me. So good reading, everyone.